here, and today I am here with one of my newer cubs. This is Jonathan, um, known to his mummy as Jon-Jon. He's absolutely beautiful. His colour doesn't really show up on camera, but he's a sort of a pale cinnamon. He's got nice, beautiful big eyes. I've dressed him in a little um, turquoise bubble romper and some little grippy socks. And he's got a little bib on that says, with a little Wright Brothers biplane on it, and it says little co-pilot, which I think is rather lovely. As I say, he's a rather special little boy. He's snuggled into me because he's only a little bubba and he's a little bit shy. But I absolutely adore him. He's the softest, most snuggleable little thing you ever did see in your life. And also, while I'm here, I'm going to read you a little bit of poetry, because that's a thing that we love to do on this channel. I'm going to get it up first. Let's see. Sorry, there will be a brief interlude while I wrestle with technology. Sorry, gang. I will get this sorted. Give me 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. Sorry, folks. As per all my reading videos, I own absolutely nothing. All copyright goes to Roald Dahl, Quentin Blake, and Puffin. Um, I'm just reading this for your enjoyment. And the first poem I'm going to read is one of my favourites from this collection. It's called The Anteater. Some wealthy folks from USA who live near San Francisco Bay possessed an only child called Roy, a plump and unattractive boy, half-baked, half-witted and half-boiled, but most of all, most dreadfully spoiled. Whatever Roy desired each day, his father bought him right away. Toy motor cars, electric trains, the latest model aeroplanes, sorry. We're not quite in Donald Trump territory yet. A colour television set, a saxophone, clarinet, as expensive teddy bears that talked, and animals that walked and squawked. That house contained sufficient toys to thrill 500,000 boys. As well as this, young Roy would choose 2 pairs a week of brand new shoes. And now he stood there shouting, "What on earth is there I haven't got? How hard to think of something new. The choices are extremely few." Then added as he scratched his ear, "Hold it, I've got a good idea. I think the next thing I must get should be a most unusual pet, the kind that no one else has got. A giant anteater, why not?" As soon as father heard the news, he quickly wrote to all the zoos. "Dear sirs," he said, "my dear keepers, do any of you have anteaters?" They answered, by return of mail, "Our anteaters are not for sale." Undaunted, Roy's fond parent hurled more messages across the world. He said, "I'll pay you through the nose if you can get me one of those." At last he found an Indian gent who lived near Delhi in a tent, who said that he would sacrifice his pet for an enormous price. Now, just a quick geography update. Delhi is now Mumbai. And this book was written in, I think, the early 80s. So it will reflect a little bit some of the things that were going on then, rather than our modern understanding of certain things. Said that he would sacrifice his pet for an enormous price. The, uh, the price demanded, if you please, was 50,000 gold rupees. The anteater arrived half dead. It looked at Roy and softly said, "I'm famished. Do you think you could please give me just a little food? A crust of bread, a bit of meat. I haven't had a thing to eat in all the time I was at sea, for nobody looked after me." Roy shouted, "No, no bread, no meat. Go find some ants. They're what you eat." The starving creature crawled away. It searched the garden night and day. It hunted every inch of ground, but not one single ant it found. By chance, upon that very day, Roy's father's sister came to stay, a foul old hag of 83, whose name, it seems, was Dorothy. She said to Roy, "Come, let us sit out in the sun and talk a bit." Roy said, "I don't believe you've met my new and most unusual pet." He pointed down among the stones, where something lay, all skin and bones. "Ant-eater," he yelled, "don't stand there yawning. This is my ant. Come say good morning." Some people in the USA have trouble with the words they say. However hard they try, they can't pronounce a simple word like aunt. Instead of aunt, they call it ant. Instead of can't, they call it can't. Roy yelled, "Come here, you so-and-so. My aunt would like to say hello." Slowly, the creature raised its head. "Do you mean that's an ant?" it said. "Of course," cried Roy. "Aunt Dorothy. This ant is over 83. The creature smiled. Its tummy rumbled. It licked its starving lips and mumbled, "A giant ant. By gosh, a winner. At last I'll get a decent dinner. No matter if it's 83. If that's an ant, then it's for me." Then, taking very careful aim, it pounced upon the startled dame. It grabbed her firmly by the hair and ate her up right then and there, murmuring as it chewed the feet, "The largest ant I'll ever eat." Meanwhile, our hero, Roy, had sped in terror to the potting shed and tried to make himself obscure behind a pile of horse manure. But Ant-eater came sneaking in. Already it was much less thin, and said to Roy, "You little squirt, I think I'll have you for dessert." And I'm going to read the next poem, which is one of my absolute favourites. It's called The Porcupine. And I remember as a child I had a tape of Dirty Beasts, read by the lovely Timothy West and Prunella Scales, who some of you may or may not know are a husband and wife team. They're both actors, as is their older son Sam, who during the pandemic did this wonderful initiative with a whole bunch of lovely actor folks called Pandemic Poems to cheer us all up while we were all stuck in the house. It's available on SoundCloud if any of you have got access to that. But I always remember Prue Scales' performance of this poem. She really gave it her all and clearly had so much fun with it. I'll just warn you now, as you probably gathered, I am not Prue Scales. I am going to try my best to give this poem as much verve and brio as she would do. So please enjoy. Each Saturday I shout hooray, 'cause that's my pocket money day. Although it's clearly understood I only get it when I'm good. This week my parents had been told that I had been as good as gold So after breakfast, 50p my generous father gave to me. Like lightning down the road I ran until I reached the sweet shop man and bought the chocolates of my dreams, a great big bag of raspberry cream. Yum. I prefer coffee though, I have to say. Coffee creams are heaven. But yeah, we'll see how we go with these. There is a secret place I know where I quite often like to go, beyond the wood, behind some rocks, a super place for guzzling chocs. When I arrived, I quickly found a comfy-looking little mound, quite clean and round and earthy brown, just right, I thought, for sitting down. Here I will sit all morning long and eat until my chocs are gone. I sat. I screamed. I jumped a foot. Would you believe that I had put that tender little rump of mine upon a giant porcupine? My backside seemed to catch on fire. 100 red-hot bits of wire, 100 prickles sticking in and puncturing my precious skin. I ran for home. I shouted, "Mum! Behold the prickles in my bum!" My mum, who always keeps her head, bent down to look, and then she said, "I personally am not about to try and pull those prickles out. I think a job like this requires the services of Mr. Myers." I shouted, "Not the dentist! No! Oh, Mum, why can't you have a go?" She said, I begged her thrice, but grown-ups never take advice. She said, "A dentist's very strong. He pulls things out the whole day long." She drove me quickly into town, and there they turned me upside down upon the awful dentist's chair, while two strong nurses held me there. Enter the dreaded Mr. Myers, waving a massive pair of pliers. "This is," he cried with obvious glee, "a new experience for me. Quite honestly, I can't pretend I've ever pulled things from this end." I shouted, "Help!" I shouted, "Ow!" He said, "It's nearly over now." He said, "It's nearly over now. For heaven's sake, don't squirm about. Here goes. The last one's coming out." The dentist pulled, and out it came. And then I heard the man exclaim, let us talk about the fees. That'll be 50 guineas, please. My mother is a gutsy bird, and never one to mince a word." She cried, "By gosh, that's jolly steep." He answered, "No, it's very cheap. My dear woman, can't you see that if it hadn't been for me, this child could go another year with prickles sticking in her rear?" So that was that. But what a day, and what a fuss. But by the way, I think I know why porcupines surround themselves with prickly spines. It is to stop some silly clown from squashing them by sitting down. Don't copy me. Don't be a twit. Be sure to look before you sit. Oh dear. So the little girl learned a lesson, I think, to watch what she's doing before she starts plonking herself down on things. Did you enjoy that, Jonathan? Was that fun? Yeah? And I hope you all enjoyed that too. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, commenting, doing all the lovely things that you do, because it really makes my day. And I'll see you again soon. Cheerio!